Netflix is so convenient, isn't it? It gathers up all the scariest, most chill-inducing movies you could ever want in one place. But if you want the top-notch movies that will keep you up at night, here are the top 10 scariest horror movies on Netflix. Number 10. The Platform. Ranked at one of the top-watched movies for the month of March, The Platform is a 2019 horror movie that takes place in a dystopian world in the future. With limited resources, people live in a vertical underground prison called The Hole, where they're fed via a moving platform. The floating platform is filled with food at the top floor, and it starts stopping for a fixed amount of time at each floor before descending to the floor below. It gives more time to people on the upper floors to eat as much as they would like, while people on the lower levels get to have the leftovers and struggle with starvation. Starvation that turns people into demented maniacs who cannibalize others to survive. Number 9. Freaks, 2019. 7-year-old Chloe is a young girl that lives locked up inside the house. In fact, she has never set foot outside of her house as her father had warned her that the outside world is filled with dangers. One day after getting sick and tired of being cooped up inside, the young girl finally stepped out while her father is asleep. Chloe encounters an old man in an ice cream truck parked in front of her house, who tells her that her mother is alive. This whirlwind of emotions awakens Chloe's special ability that will allow her to rescue her captured mother. Number 8. Pan's Labyrinth, 2006. Pan's Labyrinth is a timeless masterpiece that can only be described by a fairy tale for grown-ups. Starring Ivana Baquero as Ophelia, the 2006 movie is set in 1944 during World War II in Spain. The young girl has to travel with her pregnant mother Carmen to the country where her ruthless and cruel stepfather, Captain Vidal, is currently located. During the night, Ophelia lets her imagination run wild to escape the harsh reality. She meets a fairy, and the two go on an imaginary adventure to the center of a maze, where they stumble upon a faun. The faun informs Ophelia that she's actually a princess from an underground kingdom, and that her real father is waiting for her. But to meet him, she has to complete 3 gruesome and dangerous tasks to prove her loyalty, or else she would never be able to see her father, the king, again. Number 7. Under the Shadow, 2016. If you're looking for a movie that's different from the typical haunted house ghost type of stories, the Iranian Under the Shadow is your best bet. Set in the 1980s during the Iran-Iraq War, medical student Sadeh attempts to return to her university to resume her studies, but is stopped from doing so by the dean. With her husband, Dr. Iraj, being assigned to work in a war zone, Sadeh decides to stay in her apartment with her young daughter, Dorsey, instead of staying at her parents'. This soon proves to be a bad decision when a missile drops on the roof of the apartment without exploding. Sadeh starts to suspect that there's a sinister evil presence that haunts the building, causing the tenants to flee to escape it. Number 6. The Monster, 2016. Starring Zoe Kazan, The Monster follows the story of an alcoholic young mother named Kathy and her teenage daughter, Lizzie. The two of them have been living together ever since Kathy's husband left her, and it's safe to say that she hasn't been the best mother for her daughter. Kathy is tasked with driving Lizzie to her father's home in the morning. However, she accidentally sleeps in until late and now has to drive her daughter during a rainy night. With the weather conditions being far from ideal for a drive like this, Kathy crashes the car and kills a wolf while driving smack dab in the middle of nowhere. Terrified from the dark woods, they call 911 and wait in the car for help to arrive. And that's when they notice that the dead wolf has disappeared from the road. Mechanic Jesse arrives at the scene with his tow car and explains that he needs to fix the axle and an oil leak to be able to tow the car. The duo waits for him to fix the car, and unbeknownst to them, Jesse is attacked and taken away by the monster. When Kathy seeks Jesse out, she realizes that they're not alone in these woods after all. Will they be able to survive the terrifying monster? Or will it get them before rescue arrives? Number 5. Cargo, 2017. A horror movie isn't complete without at least one zombie movie, and that's why up next we have 2017's Cargo. The post-apocalyptic movie starring Martin Freeman as Andy follows his story in a world that has been overtaken by a virus that turns people rabid within 48 hours of infection. While he was desperately searching for a safe home for his infant child, Rosie, Andy is bitten by an infected person and now has 48 hours to find a safe haven for his daughter before he could turn into the man-eating creature. Number 4. 1922. 2017. Based on the iconic Stephen King novella with the same name, 1922 is a movie that's synonymous with a slow burn. The 2017 horror movie follows the story of Wilfred James, played by Thomas Jane, who convinces his son Henry to help him murder his mother in order to stop her from taking her share of the money she had inherited from her family to move out to the city. Wilfred is keen on staying on the farm, and after brutally killing his wife, he gains ownership of her inherited land. Shortly after, strange and paranormal events start to take place around the farm, plaguing both Wilfred and his son and driving them to insanity. Number 3. Geralds Game, 2017. Directed by Mike Flanagan, who's the genius behind the horror TV series The Haunting of House Hill, Geralds Game is another movie adaptation of Stephen King's books. The movie stars Carla Gugino playing housewife Jessie Burlingame. She and her husband go on a weekend adventure on a remote lake house to spruce up their dying marriage. Her husband Gerald had everything taken care of, and with no soul around the secluded house to disturb them, he intends on playing a kinky bondage game that involves a pair of handcuffs. Much to Gerald's dismay, his wife can't see eye to eye and demands that he uncuffs her from the sturdy bedpost. As things suddenly take a turn for the worse, the harmless game turns into a game of survival as Jessie tries to break free to avoid getting killed by a wild dog. Number 2. Before I Wake, 2018. Another hit by Mike Flanagan, Before I Wake is a supernatural thriller that tells the story of an 8-year-old orphan boy, Cody, who gets adopted by a loving couple. The couple, Jesse and Mark, soon discover that the boy is terrified of sleeping. They don't think much of it, believing that it's some kind of childhood trauma caused by his previous unstable homes that might have played a part in that fear. However, they soon start discovering the reason Cody's so scared of falling asleep. His dreams and nightmares manifest in real life when he sleeps. One moment, his dreams are filled with butterflies, but those dreams soon turn into dreadful nightmares that could possibly get them killed. Number 1. Bird Box, 2018. Bird Box is a movie that took the world by storm when it was released, starring Oscar winner Sandra Bullock as Mallory. This movie is also set in a post-apocalyptic world where an unseen malevolent force has killed most of the world's population and continues to do so. The movie follows the story of Mallory, a single mother who has barely managed to survive the apocalypse, and her 2 children as they navigate this dangerous world to find the so-called last protected haven on the planet. Another layer of the challenge is added to their survival as they have to cover their eyes while going on this scary adventure to protect themselves from the sinister supernatural entities. The movie is packed full of moments that keep you on the edge of your seat as the surviving family goes through the journey of survival blindly. And these are all the horror movies we have for you today. Did we get one of your favorites? Which one did you think was the scariest? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and before you go, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to Weeklypedia, and click that notification bell to be alerted whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.